Thanos is a rather imposing villain in the Marvel Universe. He's even being featured in the Infinity War movie, if you somehow were under a rock and missed that. But he is known as a god. He is the Mad Titan. He is indestructible. Until he isn't. Because now he has a thing called God Cancer. And this is the story. Thanos is dying. But today's video is sponsored by Alliance, Heroes of the Spire. Alliance Heroes of the Spire is classic for a reason. It combines the best of the top RPGs that you've ever played. What I like most about the game is the 10,000 different hero combinations that really put your skills to the test. There's a strategic element of combining your favorite heroes into the most epic and incredible team, meaning you have to really work for your wins in this one compared to other mobile RPGs, because if you can make one heck of an epic team, so can your opponent. It's got real-time PvP, crazy giant bosses, never-ending hero combinations, and massive guild battles, and it's all right here on mobile. What else do you need? Check out the description down below to get a link which will allow you to download the game, giving you 50,000 gold and 50 gems for free. On the outer rim of space is a place known as the Black Quadrant. It is the stronghold of the Black Order, an unrivaled group of mercenaries, malcontents, and slave masters. Ruling over them from his tower is Corvus Glaive, master of the Black Order and ruler of the Black Quadrant. The worst of the worst bow before him, but once there was a time when he bowed before another, a tyrant that had many names. But as time passed, the tyrant became distracted by the doings of men and involved himself in various wars. In the tyrant's absences, Corvus had taken control, gathered an army, and took his place on the throne. He had finally become the king that he had always known that he was born to be. The Mad Titan before had ruled with fear and brutality, but Corvus, he knew how to inspire men. For all its evil, the Black Quadrant worked like a well-oiled machine under Corvus, and that is, until one day when the Mad Titan returned. Upon seeing what had happened in his absence, Thanos was not happy. As he returned, he slaughtered Corvus's army, blasting away at the groups of men with little effort, and beating others with the bodies of their brothers. Thanos continued to walk towards the tower where Corvus resided, and his very steps shattered all of those who stood in his path. Once there, Thanos opened the doors to his throne room, and without Thanos saying a word, Corvus told him that he had forfeited this sector. This now belonged to Corvus Glaive and the Black Order, and he is prepared to die for it. A slight smile comes over Thanos' face as he says, "Yes, you are." But across the galaxy, a champion goes fox hunting. Trico Slaughterous walks into a dingy bar asking the robot bartender where he is. The robot says that he isn't sure what he's talking about, and Trico grabs him asking, "Where is he?" The robot points to the back, stating in the back room, and Trico lets him go, telling him, "Thank you." He opens the door and sees a pile of bodies, all twisting and wrapping together in a voice that says, "Welcome. Aren't you a strapping fellow? Please join us. The more the merrier." Trico tells the man in the center of the room that he did not want to take part in this debauchery. His name is the man Eros, also known as the Avenger Star Fox, says that he knows exactly who he is. Not merely a champion, but the champion. Trico then says that he's been tasked with bringing him to Titan by his nephew Thane, and Thane shall not be left waiting. Back in the Black Quadrant, Corvus puts up a fight, or at the very least, he tries to. Thanos strikes him down, and Corvus yells, "You abandoned this sector! Surely you can understand that I wanted something to call my own." Thanos picks up Corvus's glaive, telling him, "I understand that you took something that did not belong to you." Corvus sees Thanos with his glaive, and he tells him, "If you destroy it, it'll kill me, please. Show mercy." Thanos asks him, "Now you beg? Had you shown more spine, maybe you would have been spared." And in that moment, Thanos breaks the glaive. "However, you were once loyal, and that does mean something, so I will give you a choice. You may kill yourself or let me do it. Make no mistake, this is mercy." Corvus begins to look up, and after grabbing a piece of his own broken glaive, he stabs himself with it. He then falls to the ground. Thanos then continues to walk to his throne, and he sits down, taking back what is rightfully his. Back across the galaxy, Trico brings Eros aboard his ship, and Eros asks, "Why would you of all people be working for Thane?" Trico tells him it's because his nephew has offered me the greatest challenge of all. And God help me, Thane thinks that we're going to need you to complete it. Eros then asks, what kind of challenge could the galaxy's greatest champion be interested in? Trico says, It's not a matter of what but whom. Haven't you heard? Your brother has returned, and we're going to kill Thanos himself. Meanwhile, on the broken moon of Titan, Thane, the son of Thanos, looks over the destruction, waiting for Trico to arrive with those that he's been dispatched to retrieve. However, Thane is not alone, as Death has found him as well. Thane looks at Lady Death and says that he didn't hear her, and she looks out telling him that no one ever does. Death then says, "Why is it that you look so worried?" And Thane says, "I am not as powerful as I once was. My father, he is Thanos, he is practically a god." Death smiles, stating, "You worry too much. I told you months ago that when I found you, I would take care of everything. Do you trust me?" And Thane quickly tells her, "No." And Death laughs, telling him, "I can't really blame you, but I'll tell you a secret. No one else in the universe knows. It's true, Thanos is practically a god, but the unthinkable is happening. Thanos is dying." With Thanos' condition worsening, he begins to search far and wide for remedies to cure himself. One of those efforts has brought him to the planet of Nola, a haven for the ill and the needy. The exotic plants that grow on this planet are used by many for their wondrous medicinal and healing properties. But even a planet like this, one that sees no war and pollution, can be burned to the ground when the Nolans can't explain to Thanos why he is dying. As Thanos continues to search for a cure, in another part of the galaxy, the space pirate Nebula continues to set out claiming something that does not belong to her. Just as she claims her prize, she is stopped as she runs headfirst into Eros. Eros grabs her by the arm, stating, "It's funny that I should see you here. As much as I would love to float around and catch up, my ill-tempered friend over there is rather impatient. So, fancy a little trip to Titan?" At that very moment, along the edge of the Shi'ar Empire, another ship lands on the tiny moon of Gilgrath. Thanos steps down from his ship, but before the guards can even finish telling him that he doesn't belong here, Thanos has already killed him. He walks into the facility with the Mentor looking back, and Thanos tells him, "Hello, father. What is the matter? Are you not pleased to see me?" Mentor gets up, spitting into Thanos' face, and Thanos laughs, wiping his face, telling him, "There are many things that I could accuse you of, but being a coward is not one of them." Mentor asks, "What are you doing here? These people are scientists. Surely even you do not have a reason to kill them." Thanos tells him, "No, these scientists mean nothing to me. What I have come here for is you. There is something wrong, and I need you to find out what it is." Mentor bursts out laughing, telling him, "You need my help. It must be true when people call you the Mad Titan. You killed your own mother, annihilated Titan and everyone on it, enslaved entire worlds. I would gladly watch my son die." Thanos then says, "I am not the only one that you will watch dying today. At this very moment outside of the lab, my men are destroying any means of escape. So you will do what is asked, or every scientist on this moon and their families will be murdered. And Mentor will be left alive to wade through their corpses." Back across the galaxy, Trico lands his ship and everyone steps off. Nebula says that she can't believe that she let them talk her into this. But Thane tells her that it'll be worth it. Trust him on that. Their meeting is a long time coming, so please, we have a lot to discuss. As everyone gathers around, Thane tells everyone that he has a simple request. They are going to kill Thanos. Eros laughs, telling him, "Haha! You do have your father's prodigious sense of ambition." And Nebula says that the galaxy is littered with the graves of all of those who have tried. It's a fool's errand. Trico tells them, "Just shut up and listen to what the boy has to say. Things have changed. Thanos is vulnerable." Thane continues telling them, "That's right. As unbelievable as it may sound, I have learned that my father is dying, getting weaker by the day. Before he finds a cure, we must strike. Which is why I have gathered all of you to lead a small surgical attack. There is something that you will all need, something from Tarax the Terrible." While Thane then goes over the plan, Mentor continues his research, and as he looks into the microscope, he says that Thanos' body is literally eating itself alive on a molecular level. He would have thought that not such a thing could be possible. It's some sort of god cancer. Thanos then asks, "How long?" And the Mentor tells him, "At this rate, I could say a couple of weeks, and even that may be generous." Thanos swings his arm, breaking some of the equipment, shouting, "No! How long until you can find a cure?" Mentor asks, "Cure? Are you serious? It would take years, even decades, to study your deviant biology and isolate the cause of this illness." Thanos then grabs Mentor, telling him, "You have proven yourself to be quite a disappointment." Mentor struggles to breathe, stating, "Disappointment? How do you think I felt after all of these years, knowing that I was the one that brought Thanos into this world? I only wish that I could have smothered you in your grave. At least it would have been by my own hands that I had ended you." Thanos stares at Mentor and he says, "For the first time in your pathetic life, you actually sound like my father." Thanos pulls his arm back and he punches through the Mentor's body, tossing him to the ground, to die alone in pain. As he walks back out of the facility, he sees his men scattered on the ground, and then he's shocked as several Shi'ar metaguards fly down, telling Thanos that he is under arrest by the authority of the Shi'ar Imperial Guard. Stand down or die. As the guards all begin to attack, Thanos smacks them away, stating, "You should have not intervened. What happened here is none of your concern. It is a family affair." Flashfire fires down, blasting Thanos, stating, "That is wrong. This moon is under our protection." And as Flashfire gets close, Thanos punches him and tells him what inadequate protection it is. He then grabs Smasher, telling him that he will give him one chance to retreat, one chance to save his life. Smasher then says, "There's just one thing. It's not just us down here," and as Thanos turns his head, he begins to see more of the Imperial Guards flying his way. Thanos turns to look at everyone and he starts to groan. Just then, Neutron begins beating into Thanos, reporting that Thanos can't take much more of this. Oracle tells everyone to not let their guard down. They cannot possibly defeat Thanos one-on-one. But as the attacks continue, the Imperial Guards begin to notice something, that Thanos is bleeding. But before he has a chance to get back up, another large guard reaches down to grab him. And as the guard's hand gets closer, Thanos grabs his finger and snaps it, yelling, "You will not lay a hand on me! I have slain gods! I am Thanos!" Thanos begins to blast everyone, easily defeating all of the Imperial Guard. And that's when Smasher reports that they are losing control. They need to send in the big gun. Soon the guards begin to regroup and focus their attacks on Thanos to keep him in place, but through the smoke and the fire, a voice can be heard stating, "That will be enough." Thanos looks back to see Gladiator and he says, "You." Gladiator tells him, "Me." He punches Thanos across the battlefield, then he flies over, and just as Thanos' body hits the ground, he says, "Thanos of Titan, you are now the prisoner of the Shi'ar Imperium. Pick him up and bring him to prison." However, as this story continues, it is important to note what happened 8 months earlier. 8 months ago, Thane sought to claim the Black Quadrant from Corvus with the aid of the Ebony Maw. When Thane attacked, Maw told him that is right. This was once his father's stronghold, but now it can be his legacy. It can be his birthright. While Corvus himself joined the battle, Thane was facing off with Corvus' new secret weapon, the Coven. As Thane tried to fight them, the Coven drained Thane of his powers and he was taken prisoner. A month passed with Thane in his cell until it was finally opened, only to have Trico thrown in with him. Another month passed and Thane and Trico became friends, so much so that they would often play dice to entertain themselves. One day, Corvus saw them playing games and told them that this is a place of suffering, not for making friends. So Thane was sent to the hole where he waited for months alone in the dark. While surviving only on the rats that he could capture and eat, Thane started to think that he may be losing his mind, and that wasn't until a voice called out to him stating that they can help. And that's when she appeared before him, Lady Death. Thane asked who she was, and Death whispered that he already knows the answer to that. She is the death of everything. But she has not come to claim him, she has come to set him free from his terrible burden. She offered to help him find great power, but her only request was that he would give himself to her. Thane stood there taking Death's hand, but before they had left, Thane said that there was something that he has to do. Thane ran over to his old cell where Trico is held, and he found him still locked up. Trico asked if it's really him or if this is a dream, and Thane told him that he's honestly not sure himself. But if he really wants to be a champion, he has a chance to kill a god, which brings us to the current time. Thane tells everyone that he has gathered them here for a reason. They'll spend the rest of their lives wasting away in a brothel or drifting off in space, or they could be something more. Eros asks if they were to agree to this madness, how does he propose that they even strike? Thane says they would need something from Terrax the Terrible. Trico and himself have some very solid intel that one of Thanos' old lieutenants is in the custody of Terrax's warship. With the lieutenant's help, they can access the Black Quadrant's back door. Thane then looks at Eros and tells him that he will be the diplomatic distraction. Keep Terrax busy while Nebula and Trico break into his gulag. Nebula then says, okay, if this all depends on them, why do they need him? And Thane says, me? I'm the one with the plan. I'm the leader. Eros begins to laugh, telling him, I think not. No nephew of mine is going to be my leader. But while everyone laughs, Death walks up, wrapping her arms around Thane, telling him, let them have their fun. Soon you will be the only one laughing. They are so close, but these people are only pawns. Now see what is to come. As Thane blinks, his vision begins to change to the events of 1 week in the future. Death and himself standing over Thanos' smoldering body, while Eros and Nebula's bodies float lifelessly around them. A short while after Thane's vision, his plan was put into motion as Terrax the Terrible gets word that a ship is approaching their vessel, requesting permission to come on board. Terrax watches the monitor as the ship gets closer, and he asks who would be so bold as to seek an audience with Terrax. The officer tells him that the person requesting is Eros of Titan. Terax makes for the hangar, and just as he gets close, Arrow steps up telling him, "Hello!" and "Greetings, Terax." Terax asks him directly, "What is the meaning of this? We have no business together. So tell me one reason why I shouldn't shoot you where you stand." Eros tells him, "There's no need for such dramatics. I come on a diplomatic mission. So please tell everyone to lower their weapons." As Terax begins to lead Eros into the ship, there's a clink aboard Eros' ship, and that's when one of the containers begins to open. Just then, Thane, Trico, and Nebula all fall out, and they begin to make their way towards the ship's holding cells. As Thane's plan begins to unfold, Thanos himself begins to open up his eyes, finding himself in one of the Shi'ar super maximum prisons. As the door opens, Warden Dak walks in laughing, stating that he never thought that he would see the day that the Mad Titan was under his control. Dak removes the containment field, holding Thanos down, and he steps in, stating that he only regrets that he wasn't the one who was here to break him. So what is it that he was thinking about while down here? Suddenly, Thanos' eyes open and he tells him, "I wasn't thinking about anything. Only waiting for you." He leans up, grabbing Dak by the arm, and with a hard jerk, he rips it off. As Dak cries out in pain, Thanos says that he knew it was only a matter of time before the weak men like you would try to make yourself feel bigger than you actually were. He takes the arm and uses it to open up the cell door, but then he sees another force field in his way. He walks to the force field and through sheer will pushes himself through it as it burns his body. Once out, 2 guards run up shouting for him to stop, and Thanos grabs the gun from one guard and knocks him back into the force field. Then taking the gun, Thanos uses it to stab the second guard. And then he begins to make his way outside. He grabs his helmet and then he looks out and he sees an army of guards all standing there. And he sighs. "Fine, let us begin." Back over at Terax's warship, Trico and Nebula find their way to the ship's cells, while Eros continues to talk circles around Terax. Terax tells him that he's beginning to think that he's using his silver tongue to deceive him. And Eros says, "Haha, you're a sharp one. Actually, I wasn't here to deceive you. I was only here to distract you." Terax asks him, "What do you mean?" And Trico punches his way into the lieutenant's cell as the alarm goes off, with Eros stating, "A distraction from that." While Terax begins to tell his men to go see what's going on, Eros tells him that there's something else that he's been dying to do, and he blasts Terax and his men with a blast of lightning, knocking everyone to the ground. Over with Thane and the others, Trico pulls the cell door open, asking, "What in the blazes is this?" Thane pushes past him, stating that he's sorry that he had to deceive them, but they would never have helped him if he told them what Terax really had. Nebula asks, "What have you done?" and Thane smiles, stating that, "I have found the only thing that will give me the power I need to destroy my father." Death then says, "Not just Thanos, my love. With the Phoenix Force, we'll kill everyone." Sitting before them is the egg of the Phoenix. Nebula stares at the egg and then asks if he even knows what this thing is, what this thing can do. And as Thane gets closer to the egg, he says, "I know exactly what this is. This power was taken from me, but this Phoenix egg will give me back everything that I lost." Trico's face turns to disgusted and he says, "You used us. I will rip your spine out for this." Thane tells him, "I'm sorry, but I had no other choice. There's no way that I could have gotten this without your powers." Nebula pulls out her gun, stating that that is enough. He is not opening the egg, and then pulls the trigger. The gun goes off, hitting Thane in his chest, and as Thane's body falls back onto the egg, Eros runs in shouting, "What just happened?" Trico tells him that the little tricked them. He was after the Phoenix egg the whole time. Seconds later, Terax runs in yelling that the egg belongs to him. "Stand down or he will vaporize all of them." Trico gets ready to fight, but Eros stops, stating, "Wait, this has all been a big misunderstanding. I'm sure that if we look deep down in our hearts," and Terax yells, "Not again! The Phoenix egg is mine. I've been working on opening it for months, and now I will not allow any of you to live to talk about it." Nebula says, "Does he really think that he can take us? He's welcome to try, but there's no way that we're gonna let him get his hands on this kind of power." Death then tells them that they would not be able to open it anyway. Do they not see? Do they not realize that for the Phoenix to rise, there must first be death and then rebirth? As soon as Death says that, Thane's eyes begin to glow as the power of the Phoenix egg brings him back to life. And then there's an explosion. Meanwhile, back in the Shi'ar prison, Thanos begins to breathe heavy while he looks at all of the fallen prison guards. Thanos begins to walk towards the exit, and as he does, he stumbles, feeling his strength slowly beginning to fade. He tries to open up the door, but the computer tells him access denied, and he tries again, getting the same result. Thanos yells as he punches the doors open, allowing himself to leave. And once outside, the sirens all go off, and an alert is played over the intercom, telling everyone that there has been a security breach, preparing for self-destruct. Soon the remaining guards begin to run towards the escape ships, and Thanos grabs one by the leg, throwing him to the side. He sits down on the ship as the intercom begins its countdown, and just as he manages to start the ship and leave, the entire prison explodes. Hours begin to pass, and then days. Precious days that Thanos does not have time to spare. Finally, drifting around in space for so long, Thanos' ship makes its way to the Black Quadrant, and it lands just outside of his stronghold. What he sees is not what he expected. All of his armies and mercenaries dead, littered around the base. However, even with his kingdom razed, there's nothing compared to what Thanos is about to face next. And after feeling a presence behind him, he turns to see Thane, wielding the power of the Phoenix Force. Thane begins to gather his power, and Death tells him to do it, and Thanos looks at Death asking, "What have you done?" Death looks at him stating that she has found someone worthy of her love, someone worthy to rule by her side. Thanos then asks, "Were you the one who did this? Are you the one who made me ill?" And she tells him, "Of course. I wanted to make sure that you were ready for what's to come next." Thanos yells to Thane, "Whatever she promised you, it's a lie. She cannot be trusted." Thane begins to gather his power, asking, "Where was your advice and wisdom when I needed it? When you abandoned me? We could have done so much together." Death whispers to do it now, take what belongs to you. And Thanos shouts, "Don't do this, do not listen to her." Thane then takes all the power that he's gathered and releases several blasts into Thanos, telling him, "Too late." At the spot where Thanos stands burned, Death then asks, "Did he?" And Thane says no. He is gone, but Thanos is no longer a threat. As Thane pushes the doors to the throne room open, Death says maybe not, but now he has power. Real power. The rest of the universe will start to come after him. Thane takes his place on the throne, simply telling her, Let them feel the wrath of King Thane." And Death then asks, "What of your father Thanos?" And Thane tells her, "There are worse things than even you." Let Thanos see what was cast aside. Let him scrounge for food in the gutters like a dog. Let him be powerless. Let the Mad Titan see what it's like to be nothing more than mortal. And there you have it. Thanos is concluded. Well, Volume 1 is. His son is going against him. There's an entire army. The Phoenix is back and Thanos is dying. But do you want more of this story? Let me know in the comments down below and give this video a like because we've never done a Thanos video. I don't know if you actually want to watch this. I assume you do, but I need to know. So let me know in the comments down below. But don't forget, this channel and everything that we do is entirely supported by your subscription to the channel and our Patreons who are on the screen right now. For only $1, you can get extra content from us from behind the scenes, videos early, and you can even get a unique podcast, Comicstorian Weekly, that Dan and I do every Sunday sent right to you on the Patreon. It's through your subscription and our Patreons that we're able to make all of this even happen. So thank you guys, every single one of you, for making this a thing for us to do.